Genie by Bruce Slater, an excerpt from the book Of Life and Magic. One lovely day I took to walking. To myself I began talking of many things I would encounter after morn. It was early, just past night-time. The moon had tucked below the sight line, the sun emerging as if it was reborn. My gait slow, but with conviction, steady on with no affliction, my course random but somewhat steady put, when a sudden strange encounter did occur during my saunter. I tripped against a bottle near my foot. I peered upon the glass, before proceeding simply past, to consider where my toe did suddenly strike, and discovered, with some mistrust, many hues of shining stardust, coming forth most uncanny, clear and bright. Thought I'd better take a look-see, lifted the bottle for closer scrutiny, and examined with a slow, deliberate gaze. And, with a bit of hesitation, plus a dose of apprehension, gave a few short rubs to reduce the smidge of a haze. With an inspector's eye I analyzed, touched and sniffed until I scrutinized every cranny I examined and knocked around. Curiosity all but aching, took the bottle, began shaking, gave a hefty squeeze, and when suddenly there came a sound. A piercing sound with fortitude, a squeak, a squawk with attitude, neither pleasant and I dare not say discreet. And I made out through the tones, and the atrocious muffled moans, several expletives I will dare not repeat. My eyes witnessed with no dispute. Smoke started pouring through the flute, hot flames sweeping from the base plate to the crown. Thunder clapped within the glass, sounds so loud you'd hear the blasts from this place right to the other side of town. It became extremely hot, and then frigid on the spot, till my fingers stung I began to lose my hold, and now paralyzed with fear, open-mouthed from ear to ear, I glared breathless at what events would now unfold. A greenish mist, then a cloud, thunder roared so very loud, and then a genie popped before me with screeching sound. He appeared so very frail, wretched and cross, a miserable male, and he looked at me with anger and a frown, said to me, "Here I do stand, your servant, sire, at your command. One wish I vow, and will grant to you this day." Aghast and stunned, I jumped straight back with senses wild. I thought I'd crack, my mind frozen in a glacier of dismay. Again the genie began to speak, with tone blunt and quite oblique, kind of snooty, just the type you would have bore. "What's the matter now with you? Are you a dolt without a clue? Have you never seen a genie here before?" How do I make a just reply to such a tiny little guy, with a shoulder where a chip sits sharply on, with the promise of a wish from a yacht to a caniche? Is this real, or just another genie con? So I gathered my thoughts at once, for in truth I am no dunce, and with posture sure I stared in one little eye. I know genies, my tiny friend. They are fake and just pretend, so if you're real, let's see you up and fly. Out from the bottle he came with a bolt, hither and yon he flew with a jolt, leaving sparkles when then he was finis. And after witnessing thereupon, knew I, this leprechaun, was a bona fide, fully fledged genie. Back to the bottle in just thin air, looked at me with a stare and a glare, and a smirk of some loathsome know-it-all. But my thoughts ran astray to the excitement and foray of the wish from my genie's crystal ball. One wish granted will be mine, something extravagant, something divine. once I bid this nymph to do my deed. Since this ornery little fellow, neither nice nor sweet nor mellow, will bow to my command and must accede. So I peered in my mind's eye to my hopes so long gone by, and my dreams after years I bid farewell. And I set to the ground my cloak, sat down firmly, made mental note of every bygone wish dropped in the well. I'm a generous sort of soul. A world of peace is my first goal. And the genie looked at me with a spiteful smirk, and he said, "Now look around. Such a request is just not sound. You could see that if you weren't such a jerk. Maybe a day or two at best, I can give your naive request. Peace and tranquility cannot be owned, but only leased. Don't be foolish. Change your mind. Be not stubborn or resigned. From that silly wish I demand to be released." Finger pointing at my nose, mouthing insults as I froze, crossed his arms and looked away in sheer disgust. So I went back, checked my list, shifted away from a soulful gift to a dream full of selfishness and lust. And I yelled with conviction, an excited, perfect diction, a wish just as sweet as luscious honey, what I cherished more than peace, which will swiftly all but crease, was to have, in all the world, the most money. And the genie started smiling, in a manner most beguiling, and tongue-in-cheek under breath he muttered, "Midas," said he, "my weird grand master, money buys no love nor laughter. This is not the wish of one who's truly pious." "I give up then, Genie No-Name. Every idea you think is insane. I will no longer be the brunt of your distemper, so to hell with you and wishes. Let your wrath down with the fishes, and this meeting I pray never to remember. But tell me, miserable Merlin, with your insults you keep hurling, why you know of no real happiness in life? Are you just an old curmudgeon, should be harnessed in a dungeon? What, I pray, could be the cause of all your strife?" "If, for eternity," said the genie, "you are destined to be teeny, and encased within this glass alone, you as well would be depressive, mean and lonely and aggressive. With no hope of freedom ever, you'd sit and moan." I listened closely to this history, his temper surely not a mystery, and the reason for his attitude was clear. Forever stranded and confined, with no hope, he was resigned to a life devoid of any happiness and cheer. I digested these words fully, and I saw he was no bully, just a soul entrapped and bound within his life. With no means of just escape, the kindest heart can learn to hate. Injustice can cut very deep, just like a knife. And I imagined how I'd feel, lacking hope, confined, surreal, while the world spins well for others, but not for me. How bitter it must taste, feeling helpless and disgraced, in this land of hope from sea to shining sea. Genie, my wish be now granted. I command you to be transplanted. Abandon your glass enclosure from this date. To real life you must appear, fully grown from ear to ear. To God's green earth I invite you to partake. And the genie looked befuddled, perplexed, confused, completely muddled. And for once his sharp-edged tongue was put to rest. He stood speechless for a while, his mouth curved, the faintest smile, face aglow as if he'd just been blessed. Thousands of years stuck in this hell. The walls now part within my cell by such kind and caring gesture of another. Your wish gladly do I grant to you. Freedom rings today as I break through. Out from under do you take me like a brother? And through enchanted hocus pocus, a little smoke, and bits of crocus. Did my genie stand before me, robust and tall, proud and upright, feeling lofty, but with a tear, he whispered softly, breathing his first breath of freedom. My name is Paul. He hugged me, almost pouncing, laughed and cried and started bouncing, thought he'd burst apart from all his happy prancing. To my surprise with his high tidings, I just up and started gliding, and together we began such joyful dancing. We romped and sang till nightfall, then I listened to him recall a life so full of loneliness gone by. And we cried and laughed together, cast away the past forever, and to the future spoke of hopes so very high. Many years have gone by since then. Paul and I have been like brethren. And for me, life's been much fuller since we met. Our sweet wives talk on forever. Our kids laugh and play together. As the days rush on, it's easy to forget. But how fortunate am I to have recognized the cries of one in need when often we are blind. Giving out a helping hand, whether by gift, time, or command, brings joy to each of us whose acts are kind. So, if your genie should appear, be disguised in masked veneer, and wayward he be trodden, down and dark, or perhaps you see a loner in grave straits, needing a donor, whose life was full of colour grown now stark. I say you be unsparing. Let your portion shine with caring. Lead the hapless from the barren to sweet clover, and your days will fill with splendour. Sorrows fade in just surrender. Your cup forever and a day shall runneth over.
Hi, thanks so much for listening. Feedback is so helpful. If you have a minute, please leave a comment in the box below. Also, don't forget to subscribe to this channel so that you can get all of my updates. And yeah, if you know anyone who has an interest in poetry, please share the poems. Our community is growing. Thanks again. I'm Bruce Slater. Bye-bye.